What time it is Sipping with Sue time. I am Szu-Moy, and if you are joining us for the first time, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and X, chatting with real people doing real things extraordinarily. So TGIF, you guys, and before I forget, YouTube. So if you haven't gone over to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell to get all the latest content as soon as it is uploaded. I'm so close to 500, you guys. Just hit like, just follow. But so TGIF, cheers to the weekend. And let me tell you, it is going to be an absolute pleasure to welcome tonight's guest, who I haven't seen since he was killing me and my unit in TRX in my active duty days. Please welcome my good friend, Ian Gibbs. How are you, friend?
I'm very well. I really appreciate you having me tonight.
Yep. And for all of you folks that are like, she's got a water bottle, correct. And there's only water in here. I am 800 milligrams of Motrin. I can't be drinking any alcohol today. So water only, you guys. And then my allergies are also killing me. So just water for today. Maybe tomorrow it'll be a little bit better. But yeah, my back is killing me. It's awful, awful. And I know your back is killing you too.
Absolutely. You saw it.
I did. But Ian is a health educator for Reps for Vets. So please give us a little bit of background on yourself so that folks can get acquainted with you.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks again for having me. It's great to see you, and it's great to be a voice on your podcast today. But I am a health professional out of Texas. I specialize in health education, multi-channel marketing, and as well as alternative medicine. I currently have my master's in sports and health sciences. As you mentioned earlier, we're very familiar with the military, but I'm a veteran out of the Air Force as well. Currently work as a marketing and outreach manager in the alternative medicine space, but spend majority of my time working as a health educator for various clients that I have contracted, as well as my nonprofit, which we're going to get into here in a second. And then, I have two amazing boys, 16 and 13. So two teenagers, awesome kids, don't give me any trouble. And I have one fur baby, which is an Australian Shepherd who's laying behind me right now. And her name is Zoe. So that's me in a nutshell.
Very cool, man. So I am so excited to chat with you about health and wellness. I mean, I'm telling you, this guy over here had me on the row machine doing all kinds of crazy, weird things. And when the unit was out there and we were doing PT with you, TRX, we were just like, oh my gosh, laid out. So I'm excited to chat about health and wellness. So tell me a little bit about Reps for Vets and just what it is and what prompted you to start this organization.
Yeah, so I'll actually start with what prompted me to start the organization, right? So as a veteran myself, as I was getting out, I don't want to say that I was like a super stellar airman or whatever like that. I mean, I like to say that I was a good troop, but as I was getting out, there wasn't a lot of good quality service members in my unit, so they didn't want me to get out. So there was a big stink between me and my first sergeant about them trying to keep me in and whatnot. But essentially, I went on terminal leave. But when I went on terminal leave, the only thing that they really gave me was like an out processing checklist to the unit, and I got that done with the unit, and it was kind of like that was it, right? Like I didn't get any any exit briefings that I hear that a lot of people get. I didn't get any any VA counseling. I didn't get any educational counseling, nothing, right? It just basically out checklist for your unit, and it was kind of like out the door. And then you kind of got everything mailed to you after that. So essentially, when I started working at the gym on base as a civilian, I started meeting a lot of veterans and a lot of military people getting ready to separate. And that's kind of like where I started getting a lot of information as far as like what I was entitled to from like all my deployments with the GI Bill, starting to learn about disability compensation and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, why am I learning about this years after I separated? So make a long story short, I eventually went through like vocational rehabilitation. I did like my GI Bill. Like I pretty much utilized every service the VA had. And I'm just thinking to myself, how many other veterans that are out there? I mean, like thankfully for me, I wasn't struggling at the time, but how many other veterans were struggling with the same situations that I was kind of dealing with? So that's what prompted me to start with Reps for Vets, right? So now what kind of Reps for Vet has evolved into is as a nonprofit organization. But basically, what we do is we provide assistance to veterans and their families. As of right now, oh, sorry, I got something in my eye. I am just focused on health and wellness and educational resources to veterans. But once we become like fully operational and fully like running, and I'm hitting the ground full cylinders, that's when we'll start doing like the peer counseling, assisting with disability compensation, and just like even with homeless veterans as well too. That's a huge problem in our society now, is homeless veterans. So basically, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of amazing organizations out there tailored to veterans. I just want to be kind of the middleman that helps either provide them resources for free, because let's be real, a lot of organizations, especially when it comes like the disability side of things, they try to, although there are free organizations that take their time getting your stuff done, a lot of the ones that really can make things happen fast, they charge you for that stuff. So my goal is to just kind of provide as much free information as possible, and just kind of be like that resource for veterans. Like, say, hey, is this program good for me? Would the GI Bill qualify for me? Like, what can I do to sign up for the vocational rehabilitation program? I'm just me and a buddy of mine. We just really want to just be that vessel and just kind of help guide veterans that went through the same things that we did.
Gotcha. And so with Reps for Veterans, and we know that a lot of stressors in life, especially life after military service, lead to, and we had talked about this before, so I definitely want to lead into this, it leads to emotional eating. So can you give us some examples of emotional eating, and how can the nation, our nation, in love with food, especially fast food, can be more intentional about our eating habits?
Absolutely. So I'll start off with like emotional eating as a whole. So that really, I mean, self-explanatory, right? It's when somebody uses food to cope with like emotional examples. Like there's certain examples. So like for one, the most common stress eating. That's when we deal with like hardships, or we're going through something stressful. We turn to food as that comfort, or leading into comfort eating. Maybe like you're sick, kind of like what you're sick right now, and maybe there's like a dish that your mom or your grandmother made that's like super high in fat that just makes you feel good when you're sick, that you eat. So comfort eating is another form of emotional eating. Boredom, like when you're bored, not actively engaging in anything, you're just kind of just like, let me just eat. You see a candy, Skittles. I'm guilty of that. You just sit there and start chewing on candy and different foods that are just randomly laying around.
Peanut butter cups for me. Peanut butter cups.
Yep. Reward eating, like when individuals like get a promotion at work, or they're celebrating a huge milestone, they go out to eat and celebrate with friends, which also leads to social eating, which is another form of emotional eating, like going out with friends, being in a social setting, maybe you're drinking, having fun. Those are different forms of emotional eating. Ways that I say that the good ways to kind of combat emotional eating is kind of jumping right into it, is like familiarizing yourself with the macronutrients. Macronutrients is by far like our most is by far the most important piece I can give you, because they're the main suppliers of nutrients for your diet, right? Between carbs, proteins, and fats, each one of those three food sources or categories will leave you feeling full. So, I mean, essentially, if you're focusing on whole foods and especially of those three main macronutrients, you're going to have a full meal and you're not going to overeat, right? I always say control your portion sizes also. Being familiar with somebody who travels a lot, you probably seen the portion sizes in other countries compared to what we have in the United States, right? It's almost triple the amount of what you would see somewhere in like Europe compared to what we have. So I think like familiarizing yourself with portion sizes, that way you're able to control yourself, control what you're eating as well. That is super important as well. Kind of like going back to the macronutrients, I always say load up on vegetables, and if you don't like vegetables, load up on the fruits, right? Healthy sources of carbs, nutrient dense, and all of those will leave you feeling full. I will say they metabolize kind of fast, so you'll get hungry a little bit faster, but it's a lot less calories and stuff in your face with like a hamburger, and then getting hungry like an hour later and then eating another hamburger. Just continuously, I always say, fill up with a lot of vegetables and nutrient-dense foods that leave you feeling full a lot faster. One thing that I think is really important is make mistakes, but don't become complacent, right? Like everybody's going to slip up. And I think it's important to not beat yourself up about it. But the main thing is don't be complacent about it either, right? Just acknowledge that you make your mistake, and just like on the next meal, just make up for it. kind of going to back leading into meals, avoid skipping meals. I think this is where people psych themselves out. One of the things that people psych themselves out the most is when you skip meals, they think like, hey, I'm not eating the calories. This is perfect. I'm not going to get the excessive calories. But essentially, that's going to cause you to overeat maybe later on in the meal, because you just become so excessively hungry. You're like, man, I just need to stuff my face, and then you don't listen to your body's hunger cues. So never skip meals. Definitely eat. Listen to your body if you're hungry. And then lastly, I would say be patient with yourself. Right. Just take your time. Notice that. Know that it's something that's not going to happen overnight. You just got to make those small, consistent changes day by day by day, and essentially, it's going to be clockwork. I mean, just like myself, like I was never. I would like to say I was never a health and wellness expert. Little by little, I started obtaining knowledge till I got to where I'm at now. So yeah, just be patient with yourself and just know that it will come as long as you want it to happen.
So Michelle just popped in and she's talking to, she's also a veteran as well. And she's like, as I sit here eating home prepared jalapeno poppers and having wine. So normally this is my wine time. So, I mean, there has to be a balance too, right? So when we're talking about emotional eating and we're talking about celebratory eating, right? Because this is, and I'm going to go like towards that angle only because like this is my Friday and I usually do. I have a glass of wine and talk to us about, balancing, doing everything in, you said portion size and whatnot, but everything in balance. So if hey, I had the donut. What do we do now?
You don't do anything, right? I mean, you know that you enjoyed the donut, but I would say like, well, we'll say this: if you're somebody who's very strict, maybe you have like an aggressive health goal that you're really trying to accomplish. Like for instance, yourself as you were competing at a time, right? And you really had to be restricted with your diet. If you do have that, donut, I always say be familiar with your caloric expenditure during the day, right? So let's say like that donut was like maybe 600 calories, and you have a caloric goal of like 2,600 calories throughout that day. That's when you just know to adjust your meals from there out. So like maybe you had like some healthy fats in a block in the form of like Swiss cheese or like Munster cheese blocks, and you had that donut in the morning, and you realize like, hey, like I need to cut something out for my lunch. What is probably something that I could have removed from whatever my lunch is? And you can pick and choose like the unhealthiest option from your meal and remove it from there. But essentially, I always say if you have that donut, just enjoy the donut. Don't beat yourself up about it, but just know that don't make it an everyday thing to where you just have that donut. Just that goes back to like acknowledge your mistake, but don't be complacent. Like you're going to mess up every once in a while. But yeah, if you want to be super aggressive, you can adjust your calories throughout the day. If not, just acknowledge it. Don't beat yourself up about it, and just prepare the next day to not have that donut.
Yeah, everything in moderation. It's okay to have the donut, just don't have it every day.
Absolutely.
So I get that. Awesome. Well, thank you. So what have you found among our service members and others that works well for not just eating and emotional eating and intentional eating, but the overall wellness package?
This is a very simple answer in my opinion, right? It's just starting. It's just starting and just beginning. I think sticking to a plan and remaining consistent is what always works well. And just I always think about like the smart goals. Just be smart and obtainable with your goals. I think everybody does them for either cosmetic reasons, or if you're not doing it for a cosmetic reason, you're setting an unattainable goal or a really aggressive goal to where like you don't see the results that fast. I mean, I think a lot of everybody gets a misconception. They're going to see the pounds, or they're going to see the inches. Or like, let's say, for instance, weight management is their goal and they want to lose weight, and they're doing all that they can as far as like exercise and trying to eat healthy, but they're still not seeing those inches or the weight drop off them like through their own eyes. It's going to make them unmotivated. You're going to get upset, and it's going to get you off track. So I always say just as long as you start, as long as you just remain consistent, that is always what's going to work best. Because if you and if you look at like the content that I share, the stuff that I share, I never share anything that you have to put an excessive amount of effort into. My goal is to teach you how to be as healthy as possible with the least amount of effort as possible. That way, when you do start incorporating all these other skills that you start developing over time, it's only going to help those results come a lot quicker, right? So, what I think what works best for individuals is just starting and just remaining consistent and never having too an aggressive of a goal, but setting something attainable and challenging for yourself. That way, you stay interested, you stay motivated, and you don't kind of self sabotage yourself.
Gotcha. And that rolls right into my next questions because I know for me, and I retired from the service, it is super hard to be disciplined and keep that rigorous schedule that we had when we were in the military, even afterwards, and just trying to keep that same tempo. And then we get older, and then like you just said, it we don't see it. I know that I'm older, female, going, females of a certain age. It just pounds, inches, none of that stuff is gonna drop off and melt off like it did in my 20s or 30s or whatnot. Um, what can we actually do in addition to, keeping consistent and whatnot to be not so hard on ourselves?
Absolutely. So, first thing that I would always say is like establish your goals, right? Determine what it is you want to do, how you want to do it, and how long, I guess it is, how long you're giving yourself to reach this goal. I think just as long as you prepare yourself with like your goals in mind at first, that is the easiest way to remain successful and an easy way to not be so hard on yourself because you already have established a plan in place that you intend to follow. Next thing I would recommend is like creative. This sounds, I don't want to say it sounds silly, but create a vision board. I think a lot of people miss that visual kind of cues, like that, and not having those visual cues make it very easy for you to forget things, right? So I always say when you have your goals illustrated directly in front of you in a visible place, helps you clarify exactly what you want to achieve, and it reaffirms the daily actions that you are going to make to achieve those goals. So create a create a vision board. Determine your purpose as well, right? Why exactly are you doing this for? Again, I always try to shy people away from doing it for cosmetic reasons. Like, why is your health cosmetic? Your health should be a priority, right? So I always say just determine your purpose and just make it a goal to just overall just increase your overall health, whether it is like you're somebody who has children and you want to be like alive and mobile for like your grandchildren when they're alive, like you just got to have that purpose in place for why you want to achieve that goal. Another thing is something that's very familiar in our military days is false motivation, right? I like to start off by saying like the false motivation, like that always sticks with me because it is so true. Like I wake up every day, not every day do I want to go to the gym, or not every day do I want to work out or eat healthy. Like we all have those demons that creep up in our mind and just tell us don't do this or don't do that. But as long as you keep telling yourself that you're going to do it, false motivation is better than no motivation, in my opinion. So just continue to give yourself hope and continue to give yourself motivational words, and that kind of goes into that vision board. If you know like you're somebody who just lacks motivation, on that vision board have those inspirational quotes that really keep you going, keep you motivated. That way you never shy away from the plan, because essentially if you're not motivated and you don't have that purpose to follow that motivation, all plan goes to failure. Again, kind of like going back to establishing your goals, developing that plan of action, basically aligning it with your purpose, your vision board. I mean, effort and motivation is not enough without purpose and direction, right? So planning is always the best way to bring your future to the present in my eyes. Pace yourself, kind of like what I said earlier. You're the only person that knows your exact schedule. You must make time for it if you want it. So I always say decide how much you want something and then just sacrifice, make the time for it. I mean, I can probably nobody can give me enough excuses to where I can't find something in your day to where I can't remove, to where I can put something in place to help you reach your goals. So I always say eliminate the excuses, but essentially pace yourself, right? You know when you want to do it, you know your schedule, and you know how long you can take to achieve something. My favorite thing to say, always be willing to learn. Like I am a sponge. I try to learn as much any and everything, right? That way you can be resourceful for a lot of things. So whether it's what they say, learning from your mistakes, or just like expanding your current knowledge. I mean, develop new skills and just always be willing to learn, because when you have those new skills, it just helps you propel and move closer to your goals. What else can I think? And you know what? Lastly, could create a support system, right? I think people get so shy about their goals and telling like friends and family what they want to achieve that they keep it to themselves. And to me, I feel like the more people that know about your goals and the more people that know about what you want to do, they hold you accountable. Or the real people in your lives will hold you accountable. Anybody that tries to shy you away from your goals or try to say, don't do that, you're too old, or like that's not going to work, just kind of kick them to the side. That immediately, that's a red flag that you know that they're not there to support you. So I always say, create a large support system, tell any and everybody, and that way they hold you accountable. They see you out there and you're drinking, you're enjoying like a burger. They see you at a restaurant, they pop in and say, hey, I thought you said that just the other day that you're going on a diet, or like you're practicing your mindful eating, and you know what I mean. So just accountability is always important, and just having integrity, and just create a support system. And I think all of those tips combined will definitely help you in the right track.
So I have another question, because again, I love it. Got to be a sponge. So somebody like me that has been doing this for a while, and I know my body because I've been living in it for a very long time, and I know what works and what doesn't. But then your body changes, and so you're like, things aren't happening as they should, and you have that goal and you have that purpose, and I want to be healthy, I want to live a long life, but I don't necessarily know what that timeline would look like to get to that goal. So how do folks kind of like gauge what their timeline would actually look like in getting like their healthy like train going and getting that into motion?
Absolutely. So essentially, I think really timelines is really dependent on the person itself. So I can't really give a more, I guess, elaborate explanation of like how they can, aside from, well, I'll use weight management as an example, right? So say for instance, somebody wants to lose 5 pounds. The healthy amount of weight to lose per week is 1 to 2 pounds per week, right? So anything over, I mean, obviously anything over that could be good, but sometimes people look at like 10 pounds a week as like being unhealthy. But essentially, 1 to 2 pounds a week is the healthy weight loss per week. So essentially, if somebody wants to lose, let's say, 4 pounds a week, they at least know they have a timeline of a month to really get their bodies or get their plans in orders. But essentially, it really just boils down to um, knowing your work schedule and just remaining flexible outside your work and just making the time, whether it be kind of going, that's kind of goes into that planning ahead stage. Like maybe you know that you're going to have a long day at work, and you know that typically around lunch your coworkers go out to eat. That's where you plan ahead and bring your lunch to work with you. Essentially, it's just understanding your own schedule and just determining like how aggressive your goals are. And I think from there you can kind of find a good balance of where a good timeline or a good time frame of reaching that goal could be. Or essentially, I would say you could reach out to like a health counselor or a health educator like myself. Explain to them what your goals, your specific goals are, and they can provide you a more detailed kind of I guess you can say kind of prescription of like how long that goal will take to be achievable.
Gotcha. Okay, so now we're at the I busted my back doing squats, and I'll probably be out of commission for a while. So what's my timeline now
That
to get
one,
back into to get back into squatting and deadlifting and lifting heavy stuff?
I always say, especially when it comes to the back, which
Mhm.
back and the core in general, like anything that controls so much movement and so much of your functionality throughout the day,
You know
that
what? Until it goes out, you don't realize
you
that.
know, you don't realize that exactly.
You don't.
So you really have to be mindful and take an excessive amount of recovery time for that, especially when it
Okay.
comes to squats, so because it's a compound movement that involves so many body parts, right? So
Mhm.
so yeah, the back is a tricky one. I'm not a chiropractor or a or the health
Yeah.
professional in that realm, so I don't want to provide the wrong information there. But I always say, especially when it
That
comes
was
to the
that was a
back,
trick question for you, you
it
know.
core muscles in general, back and core muscles. Take your time because it really is like your engine to your body.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to. So I do have a group that I use as my accountability on Facebook. So they're my accountability. So they know that if I'm not posting, then I'm not working out. Or if I haven't posted in a while, I kind of like have like a whole bunch of things that I'm like, this is what I did for the week. I promise you, I've been working out. Um, but yeah, I told them I was just like, I am, OOC. I'm out of commission right now. This sucks so bad. And they're just like, oh, it's okay. Take your time. Same thing, take your time. But it's also, now I feel like, man, I just want to get out and do things. And yes, I have to also remember that recovery is super key. Super
It
key.
is extremely important because I
Yeah.
mean, you mess up your recovery, that derails a lot of things, and the last thing you want to do is just be immobile for longer than what you have to be. I know,
Yeah.
especially for somebody who, I mean, even you, you and your husband are bouncing all around over the place. You just being an active person in general itself. Yeah, you definitely want to take your time because I know I get depressed if I can't even go outside or walk my dog, or if I'm like in
Hmm.
too much pain to even get up. So yeah.
Yeah, I took a very leisurely walk to the box over here just to get my mail, and I was just like, okay, I'm outside at least. I did something. Let me come back inside.
I will say the worst thing that you do, the worst thing that you can do is not be mobile, right? I think when
Hmm.
people get injured, when individuals get injuries, the last thing that they do is they just kind of stiffen up and just stay in one place. I mean, you gotta
Hmm.
get some kind of range of motion back. If you're not seeing a physical therapist or anything like,
Hmm.
or any medical professional working on it, at least like work on yourself, study some range of motion exercises. That way you can at least get that movement and just work through that pain. That's what I always tell my sub people too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But for me, I have to go. I have to err on the side of caution because I am that person that's
Absolutely.
just like, let me go, go, go. And I need to do this now because I want to recover faster. And that could actually be detrimental. So thank you for that. Okay, so how can folks get assistance from you at Reps for Vets, or how can they get involved?
Yeah. So what I can do is I can share my links. I'll put them under the video that you have the post, and that then they can reach out to me directly either via LinkedIn or via email or directly on the Reps for Vets page. Pretty responsive there, and I'll be happy to support and provide any guidance, whether it be health, education, even like disability compensation. Like I literally did everything by myself. I got my 100% by myself. I didn't go through any organizations. I literally did everything as far as like filling out the paperwork for GI Bill,
That's impressive. That's
the vocational
impressive.
rehabilitation. I really wanted to do everything by myself. That
Mhm.
way, I knew what I was doing. When my friends started, when all my buddies who are still enlisted now get out, I want to be able to assist them when they get out, so they can have a smooth transition. Yeah, yeah. I literally know that every ins and out of the VA at this point. So whether it be VA, whether it be just like any health guidance, I'd be happy to share any information that I can just to help anybody get in the right way.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And thank you again for coming on and chatting with me. This is such an important topic. And of course, as veterans, you get steered in this way and that way, or you don't get steered in any direction at all. Because like you said in the beginning, you got out and it was kind of like, see you later. And without like a whole lot of resources, with just
Absolutely.
a checklist, and that was it. So this is super important, and for our veterans, again, near and dear to both of our hearts. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that was it. But I will say, like, especially all my combat veterans, if you're struggling with any type of help, please, 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 please reach out to me, and I'd be willing to assist you anytime. Doesn't matter. Happy to help.
Awesome. All right. So before I let my guests go, I like to do a just for fun speed round. So are you ready to go?
Absolutely.
All right. So what's your favorite mindfulness practice?
This is my favorite. Gratitude practice in the morning. That's when you're taking time each day to reflect on things that you're grateful for. That way you start a positive mindset. And I also do like what they call a body scan. It's basically like It's basically like meditation, but you're laying there and you're being mindful. I usually start from my toes and work my way up. You just kind of like feel your body parts. Just be present with your body. Be mindful with your body. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your ankles, get your legs moving around like that. That way you're one with yourself, and just that way you start your day just fully loose and grateful to be alive.
Oh, awesome. I love it. Okay, so because you are a fitness person and you like to kill us when we were doing PT, if you were 1/3 of a triathlon team, which leg would you be?
Definitely would not be swimming because I can't swim. It would either be cycling or running because I feel like I have the cardio and the muscular endurance. So actually, I would say cycling because I think I got a good combination of cardio and muscular endurance to just really kind of like help guide us to that victory. But definitely not swimming.
Too funny. So you've not done a triathlon then because of the swimming
No,
piece.
not at all.
Gotcha. You're like, nope, no thanks. I'll pass. Okay, so favorite ice cream, because we all have guilty pleasures, and of course, we like to do things in moderation. So, favorite
So
ice cream.
unfortunately, I'm lactose, so I can't have ice cream, and I'm not a fan of like the almond milk or the oat milk ice cream. That stuff
No,
tastes
me
weird to
neither.
me.
Hmm.
I'll say this: every once in a while, I'll kind of suck it up for some mint ice cream or mint chocolate chip. I really like that. I'll
Okay.
kind of sacrifice like a stomach pain for like a spoonful. But I'm a huge gummy guy. Like I don't know what it is, Haribo gummies or Haribo. I don't know how you pronounce it. That
Haribo, yeah.
specific that specific brand has like the best candy I've ever had in my life.
Consistency. Yes, because it's the
Yes,
consistency. I love it. Hmm.
exactly. I don't like the too like squishy kind of like
No, me
fruit
neither.
snack feeling stuff. So
Mm-mm.
yeah, that is my guilty pleasure. If I see a bag of like gummies or from anything Haribo, I'll definitely eat for sure.
Yeah, I just had those today, so that's so funny. I had two. Again, I know I know my range, so I had two. After lunch, I was like, I want something sweet, so I had two. Okay, so true or false? Running and chewing gum is perfectly fine.
I say I am somebody who is a full believer in letting people live their lives and doing as they choose. With that being said, I am guilty of running and chewing gum at the same time, so I'm going to say true
Okay,
because
all
I've
right.
done that before.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're going to go with that. We're going to roll with it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. And for everybody else, have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. And hopefully, I'll be in better shape by then. Take care, you guys.